डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Good morning. Welcome to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University Ahmedabad online sessions. Today on this platform of video session, we are going to discuss first year BA compulsory English unit number 4 of block number 1. So let's start studying the session onwards. Look, the topic is written over here. It is a short story, The Last Leaf of O.Henry. It is from block number 1 and it's the unit number 4. Before discussing the short story, I need to tell you that we had already discussed the short stories in previous sessions. In the previous sessions, we had already taken the short story of Munshi Premchandji, which was translated. It is known to be The Shroud. Then before that we had already taken the short story of Coachman Ali by Rabindranath Tagore, and in the same way we had discussed the form of short story also in the previous sessions. So today we are directly going to understand the short story of The Last Leaf. The Last Leaf is a very popular short story written by O.Henry. O.Henry is known to be the most predominant, most popular writer of the short stories in North Carolina. His name is William Sidney Porter in 1862. So basically he is the person of 19th century, and his notable works of short stories are Sixes and Sevens, Rolling Stones, Waifs and Strays, O. Henriana, Letter to Lithopolis, and Postscripts. These were his most first category short stories which you must refer. There are some, the translations are also available, or some of the short stories of O. Henry, selected short stories of O. Henry, which you must prefer to read during your free time. So let us discuss William Sidney Porter, who is known to be O. Henry under his pen name O. Henry, how he had become very much famous, and he is known to be the person of American literature. So let's discuss both the things together in this short story. If you all know, there is a short story of O. Henry which was known as After 20 Years, where there were two friends and they were meeting after 20 years. So it is also very famous short story, which is very much interesting in the end of that short story. So you can refer that also. Let's go for the short story, The Last Leaf by O. Henry. Most acclaimed and widely read short story. Look, O. Henry is known to be the most acclaimed writer, and his short stories are mostly read by the people. The setting is queer psychological morbidity of the place. What happens actually in the story of Last Leaf, that we should understand. We must understand what is in the setting, or what is in the plot of the story. The Last Leaf is the story of two painters. There are two friends, two females, Sue and John C. Now, Sue and John C. were that much great friends that they were living together in one of the studios, in one of the apartments in America, and how they were passing their time and what happened in their lives, that is the main core part of this short story which you need to understand clearly. So let's go for the summary of the short story. Before discussing the summary, the last line which is written over here in this slide, that we have to go for. Artists Sue and John C. both were painters, and their lives is the important factor. It's the thematic part which is described in a narrative style in short story. That's why it is in main focus, it is in the central. The theme is regarding Sue and John C, where John C is the main character and Sue is a supportive character, primary character, secondary character. Look, the story's summary is written with these dashes inside the points that you can elaborate well, and you can use it and read it afterwards also. Painters came to New York, shared the apartment. Who were the painters? Naturally, Sue and Johnsy. Those were the two females. They were in New York. They went to New York and they shared the apartment. They were living together. And during their living together, they were doing their painting activity also. And after some short period of time, the season of winter comes, and with the extreme cold, rain, and wind, Johnsy started suffering from pneumonia, and she was passing in a critical period of time due to her health. She has a major health issue, and she was suffering from pneumonia due to cough and cold, and she was going to die because she was on the second last stage of her illness. And she was watching for the whole day she had been sitting in the room, and she has been watching outside the window the leaves which were falling from the tree. That's what she watches for the whole day. That was the only duty she has been doing. That was the only work she is doing. That was the only time pass. She was passing the time in that way. And now this action of watching the leaves is very much significant, because most of the plants during the winter in America, and as well as in Britain also, during the winter the trees were not having too much leaves, but most of the leaves, they were fallen off, and the trees become the empty sort of the plant. So in that way, Chauncey was watching the plants which were falling down on the earth, and she saw that if there won't be any more leaves in this tree, then I would also not be having the breath in my body. So both the things she had connected by her own psychological brain, by her own mindset. There wasn't anything related with the tree and with her life, but she adjoined both the things, and she thought that if the tree would be empty without any leaves, she would be no more. So that was the only argument which she believed in her mind, and she thought that it would ultimately happen when there wouldn't be any leaf on that tree, I would also not survive. So that was her illogical mindset, and through which she had thought in her mind that she would certainly going to die within a short period of time. When there wouldn't be any leaf on the tree, any leaf on the tree, she would certainly going to die on that day. So Chauncey thought as if she would die with the fall of the last leaf. She scolded herself but could not change her mind. Actually, she knew that, look, she is a logical woman. She has reasons in her mind, and that's why she thought that it is my mere wrong concept. It is merely negative thinking of my own. It is merely my pessimistic thinking, but still she could not control her mind. She could not argue with her own illogical mind, and she scolded herself but could not change her mindset. There was one painter who was a very old painter. His name is Berman, and he nurtured the dream of painting a masterpiece. Through his whole life, he had been thinking that he would paint the beautiful picture, but he could not. He was a frustrated artist, painted ads and posters because he could not create the masterpiece. That's why he was frustrated. To save Chauncey, the old merman painted the last leaf on the wall after all the leaves had fallen. That leaf which he had painted on that wall, that was in front of that tree. Actually, the tree was as if this is the tree, and behind the tree there was a wall, and on that wall this painter Berman, he had painted the leaf, and people would see from the windows that it is the leaf. The leaf is there on the tree. Actually, there wasn't any leaf on the tree. The tree had become empty only, but still by the masterpiece that was drawn by Berman. Berman had painted the beautiful leaf on that tree. So it seems as if it is the true one. Actually, it is not the true leaf. It is merely a painting only. But it seems as if it is the true one. And that's why that leaf was seen by Johnsy from her window. Johnsy saw that, oh, still there is one leaf. So she was passing from the most severe kind of a period. She was going to die soon. The doctor had also told that there wasn't any hope in her health, and she had determined that if the leaves would fall down, she would certainly die. So she did not contain the power of positivity. She did not want to become healthy, or she did not want to live anymore, so she would certainly die. Even doctors had told that thing. But as Johnsy saw that leaf on that wall, she ultimately thought that maybe one leaf is there, so maybe it happens that the time changes, her health starts recovering, and she may live much more life in future. So some hope arises in her mind, a small ray of hope that arises in her mind due to that leaf which was painted by Berman. So this is the best thing Berman had done in his lifespan. He had created the masterpiece, though nobody had given him the gift. But we believe that when you read the story, you would come to understand that he had drawn that picture on that painting on that wall of leaf, and that leaf gives the life to Johnsy. So it is merely the masterpiece. So what happens next? Let us see. To save Johnsy, the old Berman painted the last leaf on the wall after all the leaves had fallen. Look, almost all the leaves had fallen, and the tree was empty. And Berman and some of one of that Johnsy's friends, Sue, both of that Berman and Sue, they were discussing that, look, there isn't any leaf on that tree, and if Johnsy would see that, she would ultimately think in her mind, she would be determined in her mind that now I would not survive. So let us do one thing. We shall create one artificial leaf on that wall, so that the leaf would look as if that there is one leaf on that tree. And if Johnsy would come to see that leaf, she would say that, oh, still there is one leaf, so there is life with me, with my health. And in that way she would keep positive optimism in her mind. So naturally Berman helped Sue and Johnsy both, and in rainy night he painted his masterpiece. The best thing of the story is that Berman, who was very much old, who was aged, and who was having too much cough, and still he went in that rainy dark night, stormy rainy night, with a lantern in his hand, and he went over there and he started drawing the leaf. Throughout raining was over there, still he painted the leaf. And due to his this much work at night in that rainy bad season, bad weather, stormy weather, he himself was too much affected by pneumonia, and he himself was under the problem of dying. He himself was going to die. So this thing happens with Berman. Look what happens, that we have to see. Painted leaf inspired Johnsy to live, and she began to recover soon. Look, due to that artificial leaf, Johnsy started thinking that now there is life in her future, in her lifespan. And old Berman had died of pneumonia as he had painted on a rainy, windy, cold night his real masterpiece, as he had already provided the masterpiece to the world. So he wasn't anymore, and he quitted, means he died. He was not anymore. He died due to that rainy season. The story epitomized Berman sacrificed his own life To save Chauncey, O.Henry displayed the sound imagery. So O.Henry had taken the best ideology over here, the best theme over here, the best segment over here, to show that one who had tried a lot to save the another's life would himself die. So that was the thing with Berman, and that was the thing that happens with Johnsy, that she survives finally and Berman dies. Look, these are the themes which are very much important. A story of passion, hope, and sacrifice. Passion of thinking that the tree, if the tree would be empty, if there wouldn't be any more leaf on the tree, I would certainly die. This kind of concept Johnsy has been keeping in her mind. So it is merely a passionate ideology without any reason or without any proper rationale. So that is merely a passionate thinking. Then hope, hope is a very much important thing when it is the matter of health. And you also know that hope is connected with health. Hope and health are two sides of one coin. So hope and sacrifice, these are the two main things which are found in this story. If you see, there is sacrifice also. Berman has done the biggest sacrifice as he went over there in the stormy, rainy, cold night, and for the whole night having a lantern in his one hand, and with the another hand he has been painting the picture of that leaf, and the leaf seems to be the original one instead of artificiality, though it was an artificial leaf on the wall, but still it seems as if it is the true real original leaf on that tree. And when Johnsy opened her window and she saw that, oh, if there isn't any leaf I would die, but she saw that, oh, there is one last leaf on that tree, so there is hope with my life, I may survive because the last leaf is there on that tree. So that kind of ideology is also the matter of hope and sacrifice both together. A message that real art is human love and sacrifice. Look, this is the biggest message of the story, that human love, one human being helps and love another human being, that is the most important thing of human predicament. And sacrifice is the second big thing that is related with the human life. The last leaf is the story of passion, hope, and sacrifice. Sue and Johnsy, both the girls, were having strong bonding, and as they were good friends, they were in a condition to see that how Johnsy was in trouble, and Sue was there standing like a North Pole helping her. That was the main thing which is found in the story, the relationship of two friends. The most appealing short story. Look, this short story seems to be the most appealing short story because it talks about Johnson's hope and health. It talks about the circumstances Johnsy found due to hope and health. Doctor says she has almost chance to live. Look, she had very little chance to live, and Johnson's psyche, looking out of the house and watching the falling leaves all the day, what she did, she had been watching the leaves outside the window, and the story ends as a painting by Berman was ready, and he sacrificed his own life to save Johnsy. The survival to rekindle Johnson's hope to live. That's the main ideology of the story. That is the main perspective that Johnsy was having, keeping too much negative thoughts, that keeping too much pessimism that she would certainly going to die within 1 or 2 days, but she started keeping the hope to live. That is the achievement of the story writer. He always wanted to paint a masterpiece because Berman is the character. It is, I think, the main character of the story, though Johnsy is the main character, but here in the end, after watching the sacrifice of Berman, we give full marks to Berman, and we believe that Berman is the most important, the topical character of the story. His selfless act of sacrifice made him painting of the last leaf his true masterpiece. Because his painting saved the life of another human being, because his painting helped the another human being to come up with optimism, to lead the life with optimism. These are the things which are most important to consider his painting as the masterpiece. Themes, look, we had already discussed the themes, still we are merely repeating. Hope and health, death is the most important part in this story. The story is interwoven, described and elaborated around the main idea of death, because death is like a evil, it is like a villain. And optimism and pessimism, the story moves like rambles between optimism and pessimism. Look, it is like a pendulum. Sometimes we feel that John says optimist, sometimes we feel that John says pessimist. So like a pendulum, the story moves between optimism and pessimism and self-sacrifice. It is with Berman. So all these things are very much important. Now overall view, we should have to see 3 to 4 things over here. Gender and sexuality are also described in this story. When Shu was talking with the doctor that Johnsy isn't under anyone else's relationship, she isn't focused on any man, but she is fully focused on her art and on painting and on her thoughts that if the tree would be empty, she would certainly die. So there is the matter of gender and sexuality, the prevalent condition of the artists, how the artists were surviving during 1900, during the era of 19th century. And the last leaf, the title of the story, The Last Leaf, is also very much significant, because the last word itself suggests that this leaf had become the last and the most important in Jones's life. Now this is the end of the story. We are over here with the end of our short story part in compulsory English. Goodbye all. God bless you and very good luck.